Hello everyone, welcome to SkShadow. Welcome back to another episode of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. And this time we are going for our third race of the season, which is in China. And you can see we've got a fair few days to be able to do all the activities with a lot of time left to spare as well. So I just put all the activities in because we don't have to worry about that. And you can see we've got a few upgrades coming as well in almost all the departments apart from durability. We've also got a little bit of money, so I decided to upgrade the resource point generation of the chassis department. And you can see one of our aero department upgrades failed, which was really annoying. That would have made a fair bit of difference, so we have to redo that, and that's going to come after the Chinese Grand Prix. We still had a little bit of money as well, so I also upgraded the resource point generation of the durability department, because, you know, the more resource points we have, the faster we're going to upgrade our car. You can see weather-wise, we are dry in qualifying until the very end, so Q3, and then the actual race itself is fully dry, so no issues there. And you can see progress-wise, with all of those upgrades we have shot up. So we are pretty much almost on par with Alpha Tauri now, and way ahead of Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams. So, you know, we should be solidly getting into Q2 most of the time now. And yeah, we'll go to qualifying. So we're into qualifying now. Once again, it is the first time I'm actually doing this track with the racing line off, because obviously if you watch the first season where we did China, the racing line was on. So probably going to be a little bit shaky to begin with. And you see this section here, this part of Sector 2, the AI are always really quick through here. I don't know why, they seem to just have godly levels of traction. And as we round the final corner, we take the little cone thing with us and across the line with a 1:33.037, which is no good. As you can see, we are over a second slower than Ocon, especially in the Sector 2. So obviously, we're going to go out for another run. And you can see going into that tricky Sector 2 section, we are like 6-7 tenths up, and as we go around the final corner, we are 1.3 seconds up. So we cross the line, and that puts us in P16. So our teammate Ocon got P15. You can see just how close we are. He got a 0.657 and us 7.05. But it does mean that both of us are into Q2. Now, I'm not sure if that's the first time. I think it's one of the only times. But you can see in Q2, I didn't do too great, 132.2, but it still puts us P16. So P15 and 16 going into the race.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, and talented Spaniard Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Albon, Daniel Kvyat and Bottas, Hamilton, Stroll, Perez and Max Verstappen, Leclerc, Vettel, Antoine Hubert and Ocon, Gasly, the engineer, Antonio Giovinazzi and Kevin Magnussen, Russell, Ireland, De Vries and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So our strategy looks like it's going to be a one-stop, mediums to hards. Anyone on the softs looks like they're going to be doing a two-stop. So that's going to be interesting. And you see we're going to the race start. And it's lights out and away we go. You see that Ricciardo in P1 got a pretty decent start. It looks like the reason it was Ricciardo and the McLaren in P1 and 2 is because obviously it went to wet in Q3. Because if you look closely, you'll see that the times of both the Mercedes were in the 1:44s. So clearly they didn't actually go out and do a run before it started raining. So that's why the grid order was all sort of weird. But moving on to our onboard, you see we are in P16 now. Got Gasly on the softs up ahead. Although we are trying to dive down his inside there. But he does have the better of the traction. He is on the softs, so you would expect that. But we do squeeze George Russell, actually. He went for a bit of a move. We squeeze him out. And a little bit of wing just goes flying in front of us. So I don't know who that's from, but I imagine they're going to be going into the pits. But moving on to the back straight of lap 1, you can see we're sort of in a middle ground. We've got Gasly up ahead, Russell behind. Although Gasly is going for a move on our teammate Ocon. He's ahead for the time being, but Ocon is side by side. And he gets back ahead. Looks like they make a little bit of contact there. But all the way down this pit straight, they are side by side. It's going to be interesting going into this first turn, because you really can't fit two cars down there. And you see Ocon ends up having to back out. And that allows Gasly to stay ahead. So it is us, and then our teammate Ocon ahead of us, and then Giovinazzi behind us. Yeah, and it looked like that wing was from George Russell in the Alfa Romeo, because he has had to go into the pits. And you can see here, I'm seeing that it looks like we should easily be able to make a move on Ocon once we've got the DRS, because even with just Rich and overtake, we were catching up quite quickly. And as you can see, moving on to lap 3, we've got the DRS, we've got the Rich, we've got the overtake. We go down his outside. No, inside rather, and we make the move very, very easily. Although he looks like he's trying to come back at us, but, you know, no point. We've got the move done. So now we've got Gasly ahead of us, who is about 2 seconds ahead. But, you know, he's in a faster car and he's on the softs. So chances of us catching him are pretty low. Obviously behind us is the teammate we just passed, and then behind him is Giovinazzi, who is still pretty close. So we've got a little bit of a DRS train going on, as you see a fair few people go into the pits for the first stop on lap 4, and then again on lap 5, which means we take P8 for now. Obviously once we go into the pits, that's all going to change. We might be able to gain a few places by the fact that we're doing a 1 stop and they're doing a 2 stop, but on this track it seems like there is a big advantage to having the quicker tyres, like the softs or the mediums. And you see at this point I decide I'm holding up Ocon a little bit and let him by, because Giovinazzi was getting a little bit too close to Ocon for my liking, and I think I'm a better defender than Ocon is. So I try and make sure Giovinazzi does not pass us, but he has gone into the pits, which means behind us it is now Magnussen, who is 1.5 seconds behind. So we don't have to worry about him too much for the time being. If we can pull away, even better. But you can see that Ocon hasn't really pulled away as I was expecting. You know, I let him by because I thought I was slowing him down and was expecting him to pull away quite nicely, but he hasn't. And you can see we are definitely pulling away from Magnussen, like 3.3 seconds. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking if I can, I'll just get back past Ocon before my pit stop. Because at this point I'm losing time by being behind him. So moving on to this back straight, we're using the overtake, the Rich and the DRS. We're a little bit further back than we were last time, but we are still gaining. And you'll see he goes to the right and we brake a little bit earlier than him actually, but we managed to stick the nose in and stay side by side going onto the last corner. And of course we have the inside line, which allows us to squeeze him out a little bit, and we have a little bit of DRS to help us as well. And yeah, we easily get the move done there. And you can see moving on to lap 11, we've already pulled away 1.5 seconds from him, so he's out of our DRS zone now. So showing just how much pace we actually did have compared to him. So maybe letting him by was not the best decision. But up ahead is Huber and Vettel. They're like 6 seconds, 6-7 seconds ahead. So we are not getting anywhere near him. As you can see, we are diving into the pits for our first and only pit stop of the race. As we go in for our new set of hards. Takes 2.9 seconds, so a steady pit stop. Certainly not the fastest we could have had, but not too bad. And that puts us into a nice bit of clean air in P15. So Stroll ahead, who's on the hards as well, 6.2 seconds, and then Giovinazzi is about 3 seconds behind. And you can see we've actually gained a bit of time on Magnussen as well, because he's now 5.5. So yeah, you can definitely see that we are pulling away a little bit. Our teammate Ocon has gone into the pits, and he has appeared about 2 seconds behind us, so we have gained a little bit by being out that 1 lap longer, but nothing too major. And like I say, it seems like Ocon is a bit quicker on fresher tyres than us, so it won't be long until I imagine he is within DRS zone. As moving on to lap 17, you can see he already is. Well, a couple of guys ahead going into pits, and they feed out just ahead of us. So Ricciardo's 6 tenths ahead now, and Sainz is about 1.4. However, that is a Renault and a McLaren, who, as we know, are very, very fast, especially Ricciardo on his brand new mediums. So as you can see, moving on to lap 18, they're already 2.5, 3 seconds ahead of us. So we were never going to be getting anywhere near them, unfortunately. And we've still got Ocon behind us. Very, very, very close. Yeah, moving on to the back straight of lap 19, you can see Ocon is very, very much gaining. And he's got Norris behind him for company as well. We decided not to defend too much. Otherwise, if me and Ocon were fighting down to the braking zone there, then Norris would have easily managed to get past us. So now the goal is to try and defend from Norris. But bear in mind, behind Norris are the 2 Mercedes, who, as we know, are also incredibly quick. So it's a game of, trying to stay ahead of Norris and Hamilton and Bottas if we can. But if it looks like they're going to make an easy overtake, then we might as well let them. Because, the more time we spend defending, the more time we lose in general. As you see, we get past Ocon very, very quickly because his engine blew up, which is such a shame, because I know we weren't in contention for points, really, but it looked like it was a pretty good performance from him, probably the best performance he's done. And, yeah, his engine's gone, so that is a big, big shame. And bear in mind, one of our sponsors is actually to finish the race with no DNFs within the team. So we're not going to get any sponsor payout from them this race, as Norris makes it look incredibly easy, although we do help him by not defending or using overtake or anything like that, because at the end of the day, it was pretty obvious that he's going to get past. Chances are both the Mercedes are going to get past lap after lap anyway. And then, yeah, all the time we can try and not lose time. That is the goal, really, because behind them is one of the Alpha Tauris, by the looks of it, as Hamilton goes down our inside there. But we just squeeze him out, and it was actually quite good for us because he was ever so slightly ahead of us going across the DRS detection zone line, which meant going down this straight on lap 22, we actually have DRS. So we've got the DRS, we had a little bit of overtake there, and yeah, we managed to stay ahead somehow, mainly just showing you just how good the Renault engine is this time round. Seemingly still quite bad in reliability, with our teammate's engine blowing up, but lap 23 we didn't quite have the luck of having DRS this time, and yeah, Hamilton makes an easy pass for us, and we are then down to P12. Chances are Bottas is going to do exactly the same thing on the next lap, although we do have a little bit of DRS to use to try and stay ahead of Bottas, because we really don't want to be side by side going into that first turn. It is not good when you are, but back straight, lap 24, Bottas easily passed, easily. Now we just have to defend from Kvyat, who is behind us in the AlphaTauri. He's like 0.5 seconds behind, so he's definitely within the DRS zone. And we can't count out Gasly because he's about 3.8 seconds behind, but he is incredibly quick. And he has been gaining quite a lot all the time. We were getting overtaken by the Mercedes boys. You can see lap 26, Kvyat is trying to go down our outside there. but we squeeze him and manage to keep the position, but that is just showing you just how much slower we are than the AlphaTauris, as Gasly's already made up to about 2 seconds behind us. So I imagine at the end of this race, it's going to be a massive fight between us and the two AlphaTauris there, as one of them goes for a huge dive bomb, not even side by side with us, and ends up losing some of his front wing. And it turns out that was actually Gasly. So he came from all the way behind Kvyat and then tried to go for a dive bomb on us after overtaking his teammate, which is a bit insane. But going on to the last lap, you can see we slow down a little bit to do exactly the same move as we accidentally did on Hamilton. Allowed him to cross the DRS activation line just before us, which meant that we have the DRS on this back straight. Otherwise, I think if he had it, given how close he was, he'd probably have got past us. But you can see going around the second to last corner, we go a little bit deep, but it's not enough for Kvyat to try and make a move. And we go around the last corner, powering it down the pit straight and cross the line in P13. You see, on the podium was actually Perez and the two Ferrari boys, so a long time since we've seen both of them on the podium together. But yeah, Perez first, Leclerc, Vettel. You see both Hamilton and Bottas didn't get any points at all. Obviously, we ended up P13, no points, but not too bad considering we started P16. And then our teammate obviously ended up last because he DNF'd, which is a bit of a shame. But Perez takes the top spot of the driver standing for now. We end up going into P6. And you can see Bottas is all the way down there in 18th, still with no points in 3 races in a Mercedes, which is a big shame. I know he did a DNF on the first and second one, I think, but yeah, not very good. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic action. Check the links in the description. They are very good. And that's it from me. Good night.